Jeff is fishing for me to get at the bench. You gotta do better, Jeff. We can see you. Actually, if you really want to get me on the bench, March 6th, you need to run with me at the First Ladies Half Marathon. If you win, I'll be there. So put it there, Jeff. Put it there. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, goodness. He may actually do it. That would be frightening, but not as frightening as having him in Jeremy's office. That would be truly shocking as the MD. But work has to proceed. So, Professor Gituru Wainaina, Acting Director General of Vision 2030. Mr. Francis Okomo-Okello, Board Chair. Jeremy Awori, Managing Director, Barclays Bank. Distinguished guests, I would actually single out Sam Ambudo. He's not a guest, but he belongs here. Mary Awo, and of course, Albert Ruturi. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. I am honored by your invitation to witness this epic milestone. But I would actually say, for me, I'm delighted to be here. I feel very much at home. Yeah, there are small problems about Jeff, but that's another issue. I'm really delighted to be here. And truthfully, there are people that I just saw for the first time today. And these have been, and one in particular, has been one of the heroes in my mind, okay? One of the advantages of coming home has been that I have had, for whatever reason, there's some sort of, you can call and invite somebody to a meeting and they'll show up. And I've had to meet some of the luminaries that I have thought about, legends. And one in particular is Kipchoge Keino. You all know him. I remember shaking his hand when I was this high. And I shook his hand just 4 months ago. Amazing. So for me, Mary Awo has been one of those heroes. I did not know her connection with Barclays, or maybe I'd forgotten, but today I've shaken her hand. She will be invited to have tea with the governor. So I proudly join you today in celebrating the 100 years in Kenya, that's Barclays Bank in Kenya, a century of transformative contribution to the financial sector. It is indeed no mean feat, and I congratulate you on this historic occasion. I envision the courage and tenacity of your founders on Nkrumah Road in Mombasa, armed with no more than capital and belief in the promise of this and then remote frontier country, with rudimentary links to the rest of the world. This celebration is indeed a vindication of the faith and vision of those pioneers, from which later generations, like ourselves, have benefited enormously. Over these 100 years, the world has really changed. Kenya has changed. Barclays has changed. From an enterprise largely geared towards serving the interests of the British colonial settlers, Barclays has grown into a modern and integrated financial services provider. In your middle age, during the 1960s, you witnessed Kenya take its initial steps towards self-rule and eventual independence. Today, you serve a wide clientele through products and services that exemplify innovation, and support the Kenyan entrepreneurial spirit. I was, in coming here, I was reminded of this in a different way because I saw Jugunas, your neighbor up the hill. And I realized that it has styled up. And looking at the colors, it's clear they've sold their customers' loyalty to, for a plate of lentils, your neighbor to the south. So I can imagine, going there and you have, instead of the forms and things, you have plastic chairs. And, instead of Franco, they're listening to Celine Dion. And, other things like that. Soap is Lux Beauty soap instead of just Lifebuoy or something like that. Anyway, change is hard in some areas. I don't know about you. Maybe we could take polls as to whether Juguna did the right thing or not. But there's something to be said about customer loyalty, which I think is central to how you've been doing business. At end 2015, Barclays was ranked 5th out of the 42 banks with a market share of 6.8%. Today, the bank has more than 100 branches and 180 agents through strategic partnerships. These indicators capture the long and winding path that Barclays has traversed from its beginnings a century ago. I salute the board, management, staff, and indeed all customers for these remarkable achievements. To survive and thrive, Barclays has had to cope with global turmoil and numerous shocks. When your founders landed in Kenya, the First World War was raging, and the Second World War would break 23 years later. Today, we have had to deal with global financial crisis, refugees, terrorism, etc. But the world has also shrunk with globalization and advances in technology. When Barclays opened its first office, the Wright brothers had flown the first powered airplane in 1903. But the first non-stop transatlantic flight was still more than 10 years away. Since then, we've broken the speed of sound, put a man on the moon, landed a robot on a comet after a 10-year journey covering 6.4 billion kilometers. Barclays, on the other hand, still bound here on Earth, has kept pace with the changing technologies and now has a truly global reach through its interaction with a network of other banks around the world. As we celebrate the 100-year journey, we ask what the next 100 years will bring. Will Barclays continue to be inspired by the spirit and vision of the pioneers? Or will it fizzle, leaving behind no more than a memory of its glory days? Today, more than ever, the spirit of the pioneers is needed. Paraphrasing Prince Faisal in the movie Lawrence of Arabia, I'm sure maybe only 10% of the population here have watched that movie. In any event, he's quoted as saying something along the lines, young men make wars, and the virtues of war are the virtues of young men. Courage and hope for the future. Old men make peace, and the vices of peace are the vices of old men, mistrust and caution. Anyway, Kenya is at a turning point with vast opportunities, but also significant risks. The banking sector has a critical role in supporting Kenya's economic transformation and taking a long-term bet on the country. So this epic occasion offers the Barclays family an opportunity to recommit to a shared future with hope and courage. The financial sector in Kenya and in the region is at a critical juncture, and the challenges that will face us in the 21st century are truly Herculean. Will Barclays rise to these challenges with the responsibility of a leader, trending boldly where others have not trodden? Today, questions about the cost of borrowing and banking services, enhancing transparency and information disclosures, strengthening corporate governance and business models. Appropriate responses to these questions require courage and hope for the future, not mistrust and caution. Ladies and gentlemen, the age of average is over. A globalized world is unforgiving, and there's no room for mediocrity. A single rogue trader can bring about the collapse of a 100-year institution. A globalized world allows only the thinnest of margins, and each customer has to be dealt with as if this was the only customer in the world. I'm sure Mary could give us a lecture on that. That's how you turned around the Westlands branch. Each of us and our institutions have to be the best that we can be, renewing ourselves relentlessly as the pioneers did. We have to be nimble, quick to adapt to the rapidly changing world. In this, I again underscore the need for innovation. But you know you're in the right place in Kenya because we are truly the hotbed of innovation. Ultimately, the greatest asset that Barclays has is its staff. Most of them are unsung heroes in the back rooms, cleaning crews, far-flung branches, security guards at the door, etc. All dedicate themselves with professionalism, integrity, and a spirit of service. This is what all our institutions, including those in our banking sector, need to see and adopt. I applaud Barclays for the example that its staff have provided us and for anchoring its business on a set of strong values, without which it would be impossible to sustain growth and stability over a century. Before I finish, I would be remiss if I did not mention that the central bank will this year mark its 50th anniversary. I know I'll see Jeremy there, but he'll be somewhere in the back. Because at the front, we'll have two specific gentlemen and one lady. I think you see them over there. So at this juncture, the central bank is at a point of reflection on its past successes and challenges in delivering on its key mandates, including promoting the stability, access, efficiency, and integrity of the banking system. The central bank will continue to take steps to further strengthen prudential regulation and supervision with a view to supporting the continued safety, soundness, and growth of the banking sector. This is in line with Kenya's aspiration under Vision 2030 of promoting a sound, safe, and inclusive financial system to progress towards a regional financial services hub. As I close, I see Barclays standing with two roads diverging in front of it. And the last verse of Robert Frost's poem, "The Road Not Taken," comes to mind. I'm sure Jeff remembers this poem. Absolutely. And the poem reads, "I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference." Ladies and gentlemen, I wish again to congratulate Barclays on this milestone and look forward to many more successful years ahead. I wish you a fruitful centennial celebrations. Thank you all.